I just came home from, a night out, and I was thinking that I did not do my wrap-up for May. And I am trying to do better with my wrap-ups, so here it is. What I've read, watched in May. I hope everyone is being safe and is still protesting, signing petitions, educating yourselves. I was planning on uploading another video because I have pre-filmed 2 videos that I still have to upload, which I filmed before everything happened. So they will be coming next week. But this is my wrap-up. In May, I read 5.5 books. I have watched 4 TV series seasons and 15 movies. Let's start with the books because I know that the majority of you want to know that. And the first book that I read in May is Birthday by Meredith Russo. By the way, I have read 2 books for the Mental Health-a-thon and 2.5 books for the Asian Read-a-thon. This was for the Mental Health-a-thon. This features depression, is for the mental illness, and it also has a main character in the LGBTQ+ community. It is about these 2 friends throughout, I think, 4 or 5 years, since they were 14 until 18. It is in dual perspective, and in particular it's about Morgan, who is going through figuring out her identity and the struggles that come with it. And yeah, it has, I really enjoyed this book. I think that Meredith Russo is also transgender, so I love to read own voices, and I gave this one 4.5 stars. I enjoyed both the main characters. The side characters, there's a lot of homophobia, so there are trigger warnings for that. A lot of other trigger warnings, to be honest. Bullying and suicide, so yeah. The next book that I read is Night of the Dragon by Julie Kagawa. This is the 3rd and final book in the Shadow of the Fox trilogy, and I really enjoyed this one. Again, 4.5 stars. I did really enjoy the first book. It is about this character called Yumeko, who is a kitsune, a fox, and she is on a quest, let's say, on an adventure to bring a scroll to another temple. And the other perspective in the first book is from a samurai, and that is, and his name is Tatsumi, and he is actually searching for this scroll, and he doesn't know that she has it because she's keeping it a secret from anyone who wants to steal it. He wants it for her master, if I remember correctly. So she tells her that this scroll is actually at the temple. So he accompanies her on this adventure, and it's very... I feel like this could easily be a TV show, because every scene it's very episodic. There are a lot of adventures they go on, then they meet other friends, Okame, and other people. And the second book is has middle book syndrome, kinda, but in the 3rd book, the one that I read this month, there's a lot of action, like you will not be bored reading this book, trust me. The 3rd book that I read this month was for Mental Health-a-thon. The Night of the Dragon was for, of course, Asian Read-a-thon. It has Japanese culture. This is for Mental Health-a-thon, the 2nd book for Mental Health-a-thon, and it is Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I've had this book since more than 5 years, so I'm so glad that I read this one. And the video that I was planning on uploading last week was the book review, my thoughts, because I had a few thoughts, and I didn't upload that because with everything that's going on, I decided to upload another video, books by Black authors, so check it out if you're interested. But I will be uploading after this video this book review. So you will have my more in-depth thoughts about this book, and you will see that in that video. So I'm only gonna say that this is a book about two friends. One is very shy, introverted, and the other one is very extroverted, the opposite. So one day, Sloane, the extroverted friend, disappears. It's not a murder mystery. She just moves, you know, without saying anything to her friend. So she's trying to figure out where she is, and one day she receives a letter from Sloane with a list of things she has to do. And it's very fun, very summary read. And if you are interested in my thoughts, please watch the video that I will be uploading after this one. The next book that I read was not for Mental Health-a-thon or for Asian Readathon. It was actually for a buddy read, and it is the Ersatz Elevator by Lemony Snicket. I am reading a book a month from this series, the Series of Unfortunate Events, and this is the 6th book, I believe. Yeah, and I really enjoy this one. Every book that I read from this series, I get more and more interested, because there are some clues here and there, and you know, I'm really curious to see how this all ends. The next book that I read was for Asian Readathon. It is actually a graphic novel. It is Persepolis 2. I read the first one for Asian Readathon last month, and this is by a French-Iranian author, Marjan Satrapi. I always pronounce that wrong. But this graphic novel, this part, is about her teenage life, how she moved to Austria, then went back to Iran, and it is very interesting. I really want to know more about other countries' histories, and I really enjoyed this one. I gave this one 4, I think. Yeah, 4 or 4.5. I've read a lot of 4.5 reads this month. I really had a great month rating wise. And the last book, which I read, I'm almost halfway through, is Little Fires Everywhere. The dust jacket isn't on, it's here actually. Here. By Celeste Ng. I really wanted to read this one. This was the group book, and I want to watch the show, but the last days of May I wasn't in a reading mood at all. With everything that was going on and with the 2 exams that I did the other day, I just wasn't in the mood to read. But from what I've read so far, this is about a family, a rich white family, who rents their other house to a mother and a daughter who aren't rich. They live off, you know, her mother is a artist. They live off what she can make from her art, and it's about this girl who becomes friends with the rich family's kids. And I am interested because this book opens up, it is not a spoiler, it opens up with a fire, a house burning down. So I'm curious to know what happens. So yeah, those are all the books that I read in May. For what concerns movies, I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but I just love to talk about the books the movies that I've watched. So the majority of movies that I watched this month were either animated movies or superhero movies, and in particular DC, because in April I watched every single Marvel movie that I needed to watch because I didn't watch them, and now I want to catch up on DC. And let me just tell you what I've watched. The first movie that I watched this month was Monsters University, and Monster & Co. was my childhood. I love that movie so much, and watching Monsters University made me so nostalgic, and I get emotional when I watch these movies, so emotional, and I really enjoyed it. It's about the 2 main characters in university, and it was so fun. On the same note, I watched Incredibles 2. I watched Incredibles 1 when I was a kid as well, and I found this movie very fun, and you know, a little less emotional than Monster University. I don't know why, but you know, Monsters, the kid Boo with the monster, oh, It made me tear up. Incredibles 2, still fun. Loved it. Then I watched Toy Story 3, best movie ever. Best movie of the series so far, and I think ever, because dang, no one can make a better Toy Story movie than Toy Story 3. I absolutely love Toy Story 3, and I am more and more convinced that these movies are for the original watchers. Like, to the 90s kids who watched the first two movies, I did not watch them, I think. Maybe I watched the first one, but I recently watched them in April, and Toy Story 3 made me so nostalgic. So, especially that ending, yo. Later on this month, I also watched Toy Story 4, and that was the most disappointing of all the Toy Story movies, because Woody is known for always staying on the side of the kid, you know? And so things happened in the fourth that made me so disappointed. I still really loved it. I love revisiting the world and the characters, but it wasn't on that level, you know, on the level of the other ones. Yeah, I also watched like one of the Toy Story tunes, Partysaurus Rex. Fun, like a 7-minute clip. Really enjoyed that. I just love the world of Toy Story. It's very nostalgic, and to think that today kids do not play with toys, like most of them do not. They play with virtual toys and video games and phones. Makes me sad. After that, I actually watched the last two X-Men movies that I needed to watch, and I know that that's not DC, that's maybe Marvel. I'm not sure. It's not in the Marvel universe. But I watched X-Men Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. I think the series is slowly getting worse for me. They don't keep my attention anymore, and it's very chaotic, and in particular I didn't like Dark Phoenix for, you know, some reason, but I don't have a lot of criticism. I just was very distracted and kind of bored. They could have done a better job in my opinion, but okay movies. As for the DC movies, I have watched the Christopher Nolan trilogy, Batman trilogy, and let me tell you that that trilogy is the best superhero trilogy or movies, especially the second one, The Dark Knight. My favorite villain, it's official y'all, my favorite villain is Joker. I loved Joker last year. I love Heath Ledger as the Joker. The first one I thought was very good, Batman Begins, but still I wasn't, I didn't get why it was so, you know, popular, everyone's favorite. I was like, it's good, it's really good, but is it the best thing ever? Then I watched The Dark Knight and 10 out of 10. I absolutely adore that movie. As you all know, maybe, I'm not a big superhero fan, but this one, more because of Joker than anything else. And The Dark Knight Rises I thought was great as well, a little less than the second one, but still an amazing, you know, wrap up to the trilogy. I liked how it ended, how Nolan wrapped everything up. I don't think they're ever gonna make a trilogy better than this one, you know, a better Batman movie than this one. I'm talking about, you know, Robert Pattinson being the next Batman, we'll see. Then I watched Watchmen on Netflix, and I already forgot that movie. It has high ratings, but I really did not get it for some reason. I am sorry. It's about a group of heroes. I don't even know what it is about. I was so bored and I did not like it. I'm sorry. Same with Jonah Hex. There is Megan Fox and the only actress I know in that one, I think. and it has more of a Western vibe. And this movie is very short. It's like an hour and 15 minutes. That is short for a movie, in my opinion. But yeah, in comparison to Watchmen, I knew what was going on, kind of. Very forgettable. These are the two worst movies that I watched this month. The last DC movie that I watched this month is Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, who are a real couple in real life. So it is a superhero, and again, not my favorite. When I watch movies like this, I remember that I'm not a huge superhero fan. So yeah, it is about how he becomes Green Lantern, and in particular they have to defeat this one bad guy, and yeah, I don't have much to say about it. This was more like okay, average. I am kidding. I have watched another movie, DC movie, and it is Superman Returns. I keep forgetting about this one because I want to watch the ones that come before this, because as the title says, it's Superman Returns. So it's actually a sequel to movies that were already out. And I know that in the previous movies that are, I think, from the 80s, have another protagonist as Superman. But I still want to know, you know, the storyline. So I'm planning on watching those movies as well as the ones that come after this one, Man of Steel and Justice League, whatever, Batman vs Superman. We'll see. And this was okay. I watched this right after Batman Begins, and I'm like, yeah, I get that Batman is way better than Superman Returns. The last movie that I watched this month that has nothing to do with either DC movies, superhero movies, or animated movies is The Half of It. This actually goes very well with the Asian Readathon this month. I have watched Cindy's video, hilarious. I love when she does these commentaries. This movie is about a girl, I think she is Chinese. She actually does other people's homework in exchange for money because she lives in with her dad and they're poor. One day there's this guy who is in love with another girl at school, and he wants help writing letters to this girl. And slowly the main character starts catching feelings too. So fun. You know what? I think I gave this 9 out of 10 on IMDb, but you know, 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed this one. I wasn't expecting to, because I watched other, you know, Netflix movies like Tall Girl. I really hated that one, but this one is a good one. To conclude this video, I'm gonna talk about the 4 seasons that I watched or finished in this month of May. I have finished Outlander season 5. I love Outlander, y'all. I feel like this season was less shocking, but on a, you know, acting level, incredible. Catriona Balfe and Sam Heughan are amazing actors, and there is an episode concentrated more on Jamie's feelings, and then another one concentrated on Claire's feelings, and they do an amazing job. I absolutely love Outlander. I know I said that I would never read the books, probably because they're intimidating. There are like 8 books and they're huge, so I don't know if I'm gonna read the books. But the TV show, it is one of my favorites. Then I finally finished Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. This is season 4, the last season. My favorite season is always going to be the first one. Very funny, especially the last episode of this season. They did like a live theater show, and they sang the best songs, like the most famous songs of the show, and I knew songs from the first season. Iconic, absolutely iconic. I love how funny and stupid and real this show is. glad I finished it. Next, I finished, or better yet, I am up to date with Younger. I watched season 6, I think, yeah. And the episodes are really short, and it has Hilary Duff. Hilary Duff is my childhood queen, and I really love, you know, their job. They are publishers, editors, they work at a publishing house, and it is a dream of mine to work in that environment. Maybe like in the marketing area, you know, like organizing events and stuff like that. I would love that, honestly. And it's fun. It has drama, and yeah. The last season that I watched, which is the only season of this show, is Tiger King. This is on Netflix. It is a documentary series show, and yo, I was, at first when it first came out, I thought it was, you know, only about tigers and the shit that happens in which it is about this, but it's mostly about the main figures, like what is his name? Carole Baskin, obviously, and the other one is Joe Exotic. I have watched a lot of memes, and I just told myself I need to watch this thing. I never thought I would have liked it. I did not like it, but I was hooked. I just wanted to know all the drama and that was happening on. It is crazy what happens in this in the US. Yo, there's a lot of shit happening in the US. We know. All those memes about Carole Baskin killing her husband, it was addicting, you know, just like Love is Blind in March. I watched it in 2 days. And yeah, those are all the things that I've read and watched in May. I'm sorry if I uploaded it kind of late. I just didn't feel like uploading it right at the beginning of the month when, you know, out of respect. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye.